You should always be.
So, to start, I want to ask you a silly question right out the gate. How does it feel from season one now into season two, writing a Scottish doctor since David Tennant didn't get to be Scottish, but now you get to have Shooty actually get to be Scottish in this one?
I I am way down with guilt that we still haven't had a Welsh doctor. It's like all these Scotsmen, Peter Capaldi and Sylvester
Hmm.
McCoy years ago, and we just never get a Welshman in. And one day, the Welsh nation will rise up and chase me out of Wales with pitchforks, things like that. But I think, I mean, it's funny. I tend to think more of Shuji's voice as young, and I love the fact that he says things like "babes" and there's one great moment in the finale where he calls Ruby baby girl, and I
Hmm.
love actually he puts that in. I wouldn't dare write that into script. I just sound like an old man. Um, so we kind of just relax and let him put that kind of stuff into it. But that's what I think. I don't particularly write any Scottish phrases. I get used to his rhythms and his tones of voice, but that's when I think you start writing in a different tone of voice. I think there's a danger you can lean into your lead actor too much, and you should always try to think of things for him to say and do that he hasn't said and done. So I try to keep changing, I think, and he's just glorious. You just know you're handing over a script to a world class actor. Why isn't he the next James Bond? Why don't they just get on with it and cast him as the next James Bond? What are they waiting
Yeah,
for?
they should. They
Putting us.
should. I love him.
I
What are they
know.
doing?
Maybe they come on. Barbara Broccoli's gone now. Let's get, come on Amazon. It's up.
It's it's time for Shooty. Well, and I wanted to ask you because obviously we saw it with Ruby, and now we saw it again with Linda. How was it getting back into the rhythm of writing like the introduction episodes for companions?
See,
Because those are
I,
a very
I
they're special.
ones. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love writing them. I think you always find it's amazing. I've written about five, six, seven of them. And there's all no, not that many, but four, five, six. And there's always something new to say. There's always a new angle. I think was it Ruby who asked, "Is there a crew?" And so we cut that line. But I love that line. It's like you would think that. Is there a crew? There are lots of people
Yeah.
underneath the TARDIS control room, at the controls, flying it. And it's a very interesting thing. You always have to pace it out as to whether this year it's episode 3 until Belinda asks about language. They go to the year 5. I mean, the first episode Belinda's taken from Earth, and then the second
Mhm.
episode they go to Miami. So it's not until episode 3 where they go to an alien planet 500,000 years in the future that she says, "What about the language?" And that's when he explains that the TARDIS translates. So it's fun. It's kind of sometimes you pile all that into one episode, sometimes you measure it out. Sometimes you sit there thinking, when's he going to tell her he's got two hearts? That crops up in episode 1
It's
immediately.
right out the gate.
The X-ray, I mean, you think of something like the X-ray blanket, you think, oh right, we can do that immediately. But so it's always and I like the familiarity of it. I like it's weird when I was a Doctor Who viewer. This is what I know. When I was a
Mhm.
Doctor Who, I loved the first episodes of New Companions, and I loved them discovering something I already knew. Why is that? I can't quite explain why that is. Do we like being ahead of a character on screen? Actually, it's probably quite rare for you to be ahead of characters on screen. Normally, plots unfold in real time with them. So for
Yeah.
you look at a character and to know this is a time and space machine, he's a time lord, maybe there's a kind of joy in that and the sharing of the secrets. I'm not sure. That's a theory I need to work on. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I know as a viewer they were my favorite episodes, so I love it every single time. Really love it.
When I also like I wanted to ask you a very weird question because I me and my family love your era of the original run and Moffat's era and all of those, and it was something we always watched together. But
Oh,
I always clung to like these lines that you guys would write. And there are certain episodes that like it just sits in my head and I'm like, this is my favorite thing. I think about it all the time. Have you had fans now that you're back in the Doctor Who sphere and people are talking to you about this new era of Doctor Who? Have people come up to you with lines that you've written in the past that they love? And you're like, I okay, sure. I don't even remember that
yes.
one being such a thing.
Yes, that does happen. I actually live very near Manchester University, which is one of the biggest universities in Europe. And for me to walk into
Mhm.
town in this room, I walk down the main road of Manchester, which is the university, and I'm so lucky in my job in that kind of every day someone will stop me and say something. It's not why I walk down that road. I don't do it in order to be stopped, but it is genuinely the way into town. And I don't drive, so I walk.
Mhm.
So it's the only exercise I get. So I mean, what is nice is it's so lovely that people, I mean, sometimes there'll be queer fans who'll talk about queer as folk or it's a sin or the gay material, but
Mhm.
mostly it's Doctor Who fans. And yes, they will always have. What did someone like the other day that I thought no one had ever liked? I can't remember now. Someone pointed out a scene, and I just went, "Oh my God, no one's ever said they liked that scene before." So it's lovely sometimes, and sometimes it's all the familiar stuff. It's the Doctor and Rose on the beach or
Yeah.
stuff like that. But a lot of people are loving 73 Yards actually from last year, loving the old woman haunting someone, how haunting that was. But
Yeah.
it's such a compliment. There's no greater compliment for a writer than for someone to remember a single word they've ever written. So if I leave this call early, it's to go and walk up and down that road again just so I can go.
Just to hear, just so someone can tell you. Well, so I wanted to ask, because like you said, Shooty says things like babes and baby girl and things like that. And the most devastating thing I ever heard was you had Fantastic and then you had Alonzi. And I have Geronimo because Matt Smith was like that. I fell in love with Matt Smith during his seasons. And so I have a Geronimo tattoo. And then I heard Stephen Moffat at a talkback going, well, Matt Smith's doctor didn't have a catchphrase. And I was like, yes, he did. It is tattooed on me.
Yeah,
He lied.
Geronimo's catchphrase, yeah.
He lied. But so if what do you think Shooties would be from season 1 now into season 2? Would it just be babes?
I think probably be babes. It's like he said Hadi Amal once. He says it again, which is it Turkish. I think it's Turkish for let's go. But I think it's babes really. It's like that just defines him. I love it, and I love when he says it. And just see the doctor saying that. I think that's a million
Yeah,
year old time lord saying that to someone is so gorgeous. I love it.
I love it too. For my last week thing, this is one of my favorite shows. I love that you guys finally did the Beatles last year or last
Uh,
season. It made me so happy. Is there like some big musical group? Because I know you've done a lot of history, but is there some other musical thing or just adventure that you personally are like, I really want to take them there? Like, what if the doctor met Oscar Wilde or just
it's
something
kind
cool?
of surprising that the doctor that we've never done Mozart because Mozart was like the doctor. If you look at
Yeah.
Amadeus,
Mhm.
famous Amadeus play and the movie in which, and this is true that Mozart was like the punk of his day. He was wild, he was radical, he was explosive, he changed things, he blew them up, and so much so that the Salieri, all the conventional established people around him, knew they'd never be as good as him. And kind of pushed him towards his death. And actually, that's the Doctor. I think, my God, why haven't we ever done the Doctor and Mozart? Right? Okay, we'll get going on that. That would be amazing. I'd never thought of that before. That's just crying out to be done, isn't it? Wow. Okay.
It
Deal.
does.
You can't have a penny, Rachel.
It does.
Sorry.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This show means the world to me. It is the reason I studied theater, why I live
Is it?
in New York City. It's
Oh,
my favorite thing on the planet. So it means a lot to talk to you today.
what do you do in theatre? Do you still work in theatre
I
now?
well, so I was a performance theater major. So what I do now is all of my like acting things. Like when I start talking to actors, the minute
Um,
I start being like, no, I studied Meisner, they all are like, okay, let's get into it and get so
oh,
nerdy. So it's really
because
fun.
last year we came to New York. I went and saw Jonathan Groff and Merrily We Roll Along, and
He's so good at Merrily.
that show, that show. He took us backstage. He is the nicest man on planet Earth. And Millie was with us. We went backstage.
Mhm.
So he's the nicest man in the world. I love him. I love him. Gorgeous.
Yeah, it was great to see that. I was like, "Shooty and Jonathan Groff, this feels like my dream that I never knew I had."
Oh, it was all for
Perfect.
you. It was
It
all
was
for
all for
you.
me. But thank you so much. I can't wait for everyone to see the premiere and get to see season 2.
There's some great stuff in store for you. I promise. I absolutely promise. Thank you.
Also,
You're
thank you.